Alien life. It's been a mystery to mankind for thousands of years. Here to help take us to the farthest reaches of the universe during World Space Week is Dr. Joe Carson, Associate Professor for the Department of Physics and Astronomy at the College of Charleston. It's good to see you again.
It's good to be here.
All right, so World Space Week, it's a big week among astronomers. How are you celebrating?
Well, I think World Space Week, it's meant to be a celebration of science and technology and the ways that science and technology contribute to our lives, and also a week where we try to foster education and interest in science. So I think being here is one of the best ways that I can do that, to celebrate Space Week by speaking with the public and speaking with you.
Well, we appreciate you taking the time. Now, alien sightings should not be confused with signs of alien life in outer space. Is that right?
Yes, that's true.
So maybe you can tell us a little bit about what discoveries have been made that show some signs of life on various planets, specifically Venus. We'll get to that as well.
Yeah, so as of now, among astronomers, we don't feel that there's any confirmed cases where we're absolutely sure that there's life outside of Earth. But just in the last 2 weeks, there was a really exciting discovery that was made of all places, Venus, which is in our solar system, the single most hellish, unlikely place we would ever expect to find any sign of life. And what was specifically found was scientists found evidence of the chemical ingredient phosphine in the clouds of Venus. And phosphine is something that we often refer to as a biosignature. So it's an ingredient it's definitely not life itself, but when we see it, we normally associate it with life being there. And the particular reason is that phosphine, in a planet like Earth or Venus, there's no origin that we know of phosphine besides life. With the exception of some chemical laboratory, the only natural way we know that you produce phosphine is from life, specifically anaerobic bacteria, or bacteria that don't need oxygen.
So is phosphine something that's alive and well here on Earth?
Phosphine is something that's in your and my intestines right now, and it's being produced by all those microorganisms that are inside of us, that are in the world around us, and they produce this phosphine as a byproduct. So when you have these types of bacteria, you find phosphine next to them.
That's so interesting. Well, I think this is a good place to take a break. When we come back after the commercial, I want to know what makes Venus so hellish. That kind of jumped out at me. So we're going to talk about that and what's coming up for the rest of the week. We'll be right back. We're back with Dr. Joe Carson, Associate Professor for the Department of Physics and Astronomy at the College of Charleston. We were just talking about the discovery of phosphine on Venus, and that is a biosignature, as you call it, and that could mean that there is some sign of life on that planet. But I want to know, you said that Venus is a hellish place. Can you tell us what exactly you meant by that?
Yeah, so if you had to pick one place in the solar system, one planet in the solar system where you would expect no life of any form to be able to survive, Venus would be what you'd come up with. So for example, the temperature on the surface is hot enough to melt metal. If the atmospheric pressure is high enough to crush your car. To top it off, there's raining down concentrated sulfuric acid, or concentrated battery acid is what raining down. So the only possible place on Venus where there might be some chance of having an environment that's possible for life would just be the upper atmosphere, which just happened to be the place where they found large quantities of phosphine.
That is so fascinating. It sounds like an absolutely miserable place to live. I never want to move there, Dr. Carson. But it's Venus. That's supposed to be the planet of love, isn't it? Well, at least the Greek goddess is the goddess of love, but love hurts. Yeah. When you talk about phosphine, though, what about oxygen? I thought oxygen had to be somewhere where life can exist, and without it, it won't.
Oxygen is the most famous biosignature. So even when we talk about trying to probe distant planets for life, one of the main things that we talk about searching is for evidence of oxygen. But oxygen is actually one of many biosignatures. A biosignature is any ingredient that just doesn't belong there. So it's not that oxygen is needed for life, it's just that oxygen has no business being in a planet's atmosphere without there being life. If life was not on Earth, oxygen would just disappear from the atmosphere very quickly. It has to be constantly replenished by life.
That's fascinating. Based off of everything that you know, Dr. Carson, do you think that there is any kind of life living on any one of our planets that in some way resembles the human species or the animal kingdom as we know it, or anything of the like?
I think thinking about our own solar system, I think that there's so many environments in our own solar system that are very comfortable, at the very least, for simple life. Simple life being, maybe certainly bacteria or the equivalent of like a jellyfish or a shrimp somewhere. I think those environments, there's so many comfortable environments like that in our solar system. I mean, let alone the universe, that I would say there's a reasonably high possibility. And if I had to bet on one place in our solar system, well, it certainly never would have been Venus. I certainly had my money bet on the moons of Jupiter, or possibly Saturn was my main bet for where life would be found.
Fascinating. I cannot wait to see what our astronomers and what you, Dr. Carson, eventually find. We're going to be staying tuned, and we want to thank you so much for helping us kick off World Space Week.
Thank you for having me here.
We're back after this.